I believe. Making some final adjustments here. This is Tuesday afternoon, August 8th, 2023. I've posted my burpee workout of the morning. Workout with burpees, not an exclusive burpee workout, not for today. And I'm here to have a conversation for maybe half an hour-ish. I have a phone appointment not too far. Hey, Barefoot, how are you? I was saying that I have a, today will be a short conversation, probably. I say that often, and then I get started talking, and it turns into a much longer conversation than anticipated. You would think I would anticipate that, but I don't. It also often depends on who joins me. With my friend Barefoot Burpee here, and often Mocha and Paul Morgan, and it is what it is. Conversations can take some surprising turn of directions, going anywhere from diet to supplements to exercise to philosophy, ethics, all over the place, which is good. Sometime I'd like to get each of you guys to maybe join me sometime, and we'll do this at the same time. It'll be easier to have a actual conversation going back and forth, and maybe going more deeply into some of the things that we talk about, which again is always interesting. For me, one of the things that's been playing on my mind all day, frequently actually, for the past few days, maybe even for a few weeks, it has to do with my running and my walking, yoga early in the morning. One of the great Taoist healing secrets is getting out in nature. One of the great Vedic secrets is getting out in nature. Deepak Chopra includes that in his book on the 7 spiritual laws of success, which is a great handbook for yogic Vedic philosophy and thinking in a usable, practical way. Barefoot says, maybe I'm using stuff at this same time, wife yelling at me, etc. Well, that's important stuff. I would not want to interfere with your wife yelling at you. I've been there myself. I can safely say that because I don't believe Mook has joined in the conversation yet. If she does, then I will quickly change my tune, and we'll start talking about something else. I think, Barefoot, that you would agree with me about nature, as it seems the majority of your workouts, especially this time of year, of course, are outside. Hanging your rings on a branch, as close to nature as you can possibly get working out. Breathing in clean air, as clean as it gets nowadays. Don't want to go down that road too far today. But yeah, I think that goes with your own interest in Taoism, and just a natural thing. Getting outside as often as you can, for whatever purposes you can. Just if you can do it outside, do it. I'm up extremely early, and one of the first things I do after I meditate, I have my 1 cup of coffee as I'm writing, and then I go outside before the sun comes up. Therefore, it says the main workouts I film are outside, and the accessories inside, not filmed usually. But you usually, yeah, it's beautiful scenery where you are and watching what you do. But if it says like you, I try to get a number of small sessions in, if only 10 minutes here and there. Yeah, I have the main session, and then I have lots of smaller sessions. I have joint mobility when I'm soon out of bed, almost like a warm-up for yoga. And I have my yoga workout, and I do that before I walk. Then I get outside and I walk. It's a brisk walk, not quite my old power walking, speed walking days, but pretty fast. The purpose, and the point is to be outside, and to be outside before the sun comes up so that I can receive that first light, which is just so beneficial to the body. Barefoot says that yesterday before the rings, I felt really compressed. So I look forward to that full stretch rings and stuff. Yeah, it was certainly a good workout for you. Especially what was the Bulgarian dips that I mentioned, and the amount of tension that you were able to hold in that almost like static yoga. Pretty impressive, as is all of your workouts, as are all of your workouts. So it's important for me to get that first light. It's important for me to be as immersed in nature as I can. I wrote about that this morning. And yet, yesterday I talked a lot about equanimity. My equanimity has been off, disturbed. I guess you really can't disturb equanimity, otherwise you don't have it. For whatever reason, the past week or so, and this is, again, before the sun comes up, there's been a lot of people out running or walking their dogs, wearing headlamps, chest lamps, talking. Person today running very fast, heavy steps. As I was discussing with Mocha as we were walking later in the day, you can't run in those heavy steps if you're wearing minimalist shoes. This teaches you how to properly run, how to run light and easy. You might have to sacrifice some distance, you might have to sacrifice some speed, but you more than make up for it with overall health, joint health, knee health, hip health, back. It's not all about speed, it's not all about distance, especially before the sun comes up. And if you're out running in nature with a radio playing, music playing, you're missing the point of being out in nature. Barefoot said, yes, the first time I ran in 5 fingers, it's like taking childlike tiny steps. Exactly. And that's actually a really good point. Childlike steps. Running like when we were kids, when we were running barefoot all the time. As a kid, any chance I got to shuck off my shoes and go outside and play, bare feet, I did. Feet in the grass, feet in the dirt. Nothing heals like that. And again, you can't run the way we do now as adults, racing, heel striking, bare feet. It's impossible. You learn proper biomechanics. The funny thing is, we learn proper biomechanics as a child, running. And then we put on these heavy shoes and we lose it and we get injured. And we go from race, trying to go fast, hurting ourselves, feeling like we can't race anymore. Then we rehab, and then we get out and retrain and we race again, and the cycle repeats itself and repeats itself and repeats itself. It's all about going fast. It's all about going hard. It's that CrossFit mentality, and I'm not being negative towards CrossFit, but that's the philosophy. Go hard. Go hard or go home. Their mascot is Pukey the Clown. If you're not throwing up after you work out or during your workout, you didn't work out hard enough. Or my warm-up is your workout. That has a small place in the overall scheme of things, but in a longevity plan, in a health plan, even in a performance plan, you can't train for sport that way. Otherwise, you never make it to the field. It's all about smart training. But more so, when you're out running in the morning, I'm sounding preachy. I know. I sort of apologize. I think I need to preach a little bit on this subject. When you get out in nature, immerse yourself in nature. Be present, open to it, listen to it. There's wonderful sounds that you'll never hear again. You'll miss it completely. And I don't just mean the morning chorus of birds, a particular note that they play. It might sound the same, but it's never the same. As my friend Robert Saltzman says, the author of the 10,000 Things, it's a once upon moment. Never happens again. And you're completely missing it for a song that you've probably heard 1,000 times before. When you're in nature, especially that early in the morning, just open to it. That's the whole principle of Taoism. Returning to our innocence, returning to the garden, returning to the earth, the substance that we're made of. There's a limited number of elements in the universe. Our body is made of it, all of them. The earth is made of it. Stars are made of it. We can return to that easily just by being, just by breathing, relaxing. There's a way to run like that. If you read the book Born to Run, the author's mentor, I can't remember his name. It's been a few years since I've read it. Teaches him to run fast, learn how to run light, easy and smooth. When you get light, easy and smooth, you don't have to worry about being fast. You'll already be fast. And again, how fast do you have to be? If you're training for a local 5K, a local 10K, a half marathon, a marathon, you're not going to win. Not unless you're at that elite level. And it's not worth hurting yourself. It's not worth missing just, again, being out in nature. I'm going to repeat myself. Obviously, I have been. But it's such an important, valuable point of not killing yourself for just going a little bit faster or running a little bit harder, posting about your PR. It's the same in burpees. Get what you get. Push hard. If the day calls for pushing hard, get the reps that you can get for the day. But, as I mentioned fairly often, you're not going to be any more fit at 236 reps than you were at 235 reps. You had a good day, which is excellent. So, I don't know, guys. You tell me. Am I wrong on this? I'm always happy to be wrong. If I'm wrong, it means I'm going to learn something. What I suspect is that I'm right on some things and I'm wrong on some things. What I know for certain is you don't want to sacrifice your health. You don't want to miss that time being in nature. Not for the sake of a little bit of a faster run. And music in the morning, boy, if I were to say that I had a pet peeve, feeling the incessant need of filling silence with sound, with noise. Instead of, I believe it was Pascal who said all of man's suffering stems from his inability to simply sit alone in a room. He might have said silently in a room. We have that need to fill every single moment of silence with some kind of sound. Now, it very easily could be a pet peeve because my brother and I share my father's house, and he is always filling it with sound. From the moment he wakes up, the TV is on. The moment he goes to bed, falling asleep, the TV's on. And it's not like he's watching a program, and I don't mean to complain about my brother. The fact that we can share a house speaks highly of our relationship. But again, it's not like he's really watching TV as he's scanning constantly. To me, I always feel bad about that because it's not being alone with your thoughts. It's not so much, I think, what Pascal was saying. It's about letting those thoughts subside. That's what we're afraid of. We're afraid of the silence of the mind, not our thoughts. Because if you stay with the thoughts long enough, you find that they pass. You find that they are an occurrence within the spaciousness of the mind, and that's our true reality. And that spaciousness, that emptiness, that's what's frightening. Because if we are emptiness, where does that leave us? Which is a good thing to find out. Burford says, I didn't enjoy straight running much. I enjoyed mud runs, though. Thick mud trails and streams. Yeah. Again, going back to what you said earlier, it's like running like a child. It's like playing. And running should be play. It shouldn't be work. Now, when I say that, that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't play hard. You know, that there might not be a sprint, there might not be a hit the ground, a forward roll, or whatever. But it's not that all-out pursuit of speed for the sake of speed. Just my thoughts, for whatever they're worth. And they're not worth much, which I fully admit to. And I don't mean that in a negative manner towards myself at all. It's just that I have opinions, I have biases. Some I cherish a little more than others. Doesn't necessarily mean that I take them that seriously. It's knowing that I don't know that has value to me, and being open so that I can learn, so that I can hold information. Information is a little different than knowing. Knowing is how the heart beats. We don't have to tell it to beat. Knowing is how the lungs work. We don't have to tell them, breathe in, breathe out. It's how every body part works. Coherence. Knowing is coherence. It's the best way of saying it. Knowledge is what we receive, what we look up, what we read, what someone tells us. And it might not even be true. We often don't question it. If we get it from a teacher, we don't question it. Years ago, I learned that Uranus was a planet. Or, I'm sorry, Pluto was a planet. Now I'm told that it's not. Of course, it'll always be a planet to me. But that's what I mean. We don't know. Science doesn't know. The art of science is refuting what they know now for a better version of what they know. And that's all it is. Better versions. So we're allowed to upgrade in that same way. Dismissing the knowledge that we hold now for something a little more intuitive, for the knowingness versus knowledge. That's the big difference, I think, in my opinion. So this conversation is actually turning into more of a venting session, more of a rant. I'm showing my old man chasing kids off their lawn with a rake or a garden hose mentality right now. But I don't mean it that way. I actually mean this in the best possible way. You will receive more from running gently and easily in nature, allowing the silence to fill your mind so that you will be the capacity for the sounds that you hear. So you'll catch that dawn chorus. So you'll hear the ducks flying overhead. So you hear the mourning doves and the crows, and you hear that snap of a branch as a deer is walking through the woods, so that you notice that shadow slyly between the edge of woods and the path, and you find out that it's a fox. If you're just going all out, if you're just trying to get in that morning run for the sake of speed and distance, you're going to miss all of that. If you catch it, you won't appreciate it because it'll be a sideshow. You'll go home and you might mention it, but then you'll mention, hey, and I did a 8:36 pace for 3 miles or whatever. Those are the things, the little statistics that we hold on as if they're sacred, as if they're holy. Um, and yet we missed an entire world. So no, yes, it sounds like I'm venting and I'm ranting. But again, it just makes me sad. Don't miss this. It's incredible. It's the reason why I'm up so early every morning. And I'm getting up earlier and earlier so I can try to miss these people. And yet I find the earlier I get up, the more people seem to show up, which tells you something that I need to address. Accept this. Things keep showing up until there's a reason for them not to. So that's my own shadow showing up, showing me that, I think it was Ram Dass said, if you think you're enlightened, go spend an entire holiday with your family. Not so much family with me as go outside at 5 in the morning and share your walking and running time with other people. That's been the big confrontation for me. I take it in stride, and I am pretty, I do have a sense of equanimity. It's not thrown off often. I'm not disturbed by this. I have my preferences. I think I mentioned Ken Keyes. He wrote the Handbook of Higher Consciousness back in the 70s. It was a bestseller. Lewis, it is what it is. Good morning. Barefoot is still here, I believe. I'm venting about noisy runners, heavy footsteps, heavy breathing, speed for the sake of speed. You're a good example of this, actually. I'd be willing to bet that you could get 100 5-pump burpees and you could probably shave 5 minutes off your time if you went all out to do it. But each and every one of your reps is precise and clean, exact. There's intent to what you're doing. So there's no need to go all out and then hit it like that. You're getting everything done, everything that you need to be done. And it's perfect reps. Your heart rate gets up, breathing hard. But again, you don't sacrifice your form for the sake of just going. To me, there's room for everything. But missing everything for the sake of one thing just doesn't seem worth it. It is what it is, says that he appreciates that. I believe I've done it in about 1930, which is fast for the 5 pumps, really fast, 100 plus 5 pumps. But again, you're not any fitter when you do it for 1930 than when you do it now. If anything, it's how you train now that allowed you to go faster. That's why, and if you watch the Kenyans train, most of their runs are well lower than race pace. They're just getting in that cardio. They're just getting that heart, the engine built. And then they do some speed work to put that finishing touch. Barefoot's still here. He had to wash up dishes. It is what it is, says that he doesn't care for time. I believe in achieving the 100 no matter the time. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. Now, I usually, my workouts are done, my burpee workouts usually are done for time, how many reps I get in time. But I do my best to allow the session itself dictate what that number is. As they say in Bikram Yoga, you're performing with the body that you have today, not the one I had yesterday or last week or the day before. So in that sense, PRs don't matter. Also, when you train every single day is a PR. I've never gotten this many reps after what I did yesterday. So that kind of stuff adds up. Beaufort says, burpees and running steps. You're right, Eric. Quality over quantity is best. Each step is a solid, convincing movement. Yes, intent. Training with intent versus training for the sake of speed, training for the sake of numbers, training for the sake of anything. Results follow intent, in my opinion. If you have that intent, and by intent, just like Barefoot says, quality over quantity, each step solid, convincing movement. And I love that expression, each rep a solid, convincing movement. That's intent. And that's results will follow that. Lewis said agreed, 100%. That's the funny thing with burpees that I don't see. I see people training burpees achieve this more than I see runners, because runners will go out and they'll run hard until they hurt themselves, and then they rehab, and then they go out and they run hard again until they hurt themselves, and the cycle repeats over and over again until they can't run and they retire and they miss the good old days when they used to be able to run. Or they're broken down older runners, show up at the starting line bent in all different shapes, body hurting, put it all out there, and then they're sore for a week. There's some few exceptions. Sturdier people just don't seem to break down no matter what. God bless them. But for the average person, they just keep repeating that cycle. The burpee practitioners, overall, for the most part, they believe, hey Mocha, they believe in training hard, but they do a lot of prehab. They keep from injuring themselves. They don't have to do rehab that much because they're always doing something before to keep from breaking down. Barefoot says you have to know your body too. I did 250 pump burpees last week. Tried rings day after. Rubbish this week, 126 pumps. Next day, rings, great. So you get more for less sometimes. Yep, exactly. Definitely, for sure. And like I said, it's all a PR. Everything. Yesterday I did 158 Navy SEALs. I think just about 30 minutes. Most SEALs that I've done. Also the most SEALs I've ever done after doing, I forget however many 6 counts I did the day before. Today, I did a mixed workout. Exactly what I needed. You know, as Barefoot said, listen to your body. And that's the problem with a lot of runners. They don't listen to their body because they're addicted to that feeling of running. I know that all too well. Anybody who's ever run is addicted to that feeling. It's a hard thing to break. Unfortunately, it ends up breaking us. So there's a saner way to train, both running and for burpees, I think. But I think intuitively, most of the people in the burpee community know exactly how to get it done. You push hard, but you listen to your body. You know what to do, when to back off, when to catch your breath, when to push for extra reps. If you watch Max, Busy Dad, he trains hard every session, but he's doing it for 80 minutes a week, plenty of recovery time. And if you watch each session, you'll see where he pushes really hard. And then there's this little bit, if you haven't watched him, you might not notice it at first, but if you watch him a few times, he pulls back just a little bit, just enough where he's recovering within that set for what's coming next, what his body knows is coming next. And then bam, he's pushing hard again. That's just someone who's in tune with what they're doing. That's how we should be running. Same way. As Barefoot said earlier, as a kid, as a child, that same type of innocence. Milka mentioned earlier today Danny Dwyer, who wrote Chi Running, where he uses the basic principles of Tai Chi applied to running. It's got a forward lean. You're running on the mid-foot, not on your toes. Some people think when you're doing barefoot running, you got to take these mincing steps on your toes. And maybe at first when you get in the feel of wearing the minimalist shoes, but then you realize it's that mid-foot. You're coming in like a plane. I don't know if you can see that, like a plane. Not on your heels, as a lot of people run, not on your toes, mid-foot, where that pad is. So, I'm actually going to cut things short. I'm going to get in my meditation session, and I have a phone call about possibly finishing off my yogic education. We're going to see if I can afford it. I got, because I am a teacher, meditation teacher in this organization, I got a teacher's discount. Finishing off my education, I think the last little step that I need and want in my immersion, lifelong immersion in yoga. From a kid to the point where now I feel like I have some things I want to give back. Not just teaching the yoga postures, but that the deeper aspects of yoga. Everything that we've been talking about here. Nature, Vedic philosophy, yogic philosophy, Buddhist philosophy. So we'll see. This might be the time for it. It might not be the time. I will find out after I chat with her. So I'm going to shut things down for the day. Amazing that I have some of my favorite people talking about some of my favorite topics, and I'm going to have to cut things short. Lewis, you have a good day too, my friend. I appreciate it. Barefoot, thanks again for the being here, for the conversation. Milka, thank you as always for joining me. And I will see you guys tomorrow for some burpees and then chatting again later. Take care.